As watching TVC News at 1, let's turn attention to business now. Normalcy is gradually returning to the supply and distribution chain of petroleum motor spirit, also known as petrol, following the scarcity of the product in the last 3 weeks in some parts of the country. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited blamed the recent development on logistic issues, confirming the improved supply across the various states and distribution of the commodity. The National President, Independent Marketers Association of Nigeria, IFMAN, Mr. Abubakar Maigande, said the current stage of the supply and distribution shows the scarcity will end before this weekend. He said the situation is better off today, but will be much better tomorrow when there is more supply of the product. The National President of the of Marketers Association of Nigeria praised the NNPCL Limited leadership for speedily resolving the shortage. As well, latest data from the National Pension Commission reveals that Nigeria's pension fund assets dropped marginally to 19.6 trillion naira from the period ended 31st March 2024. This represents a marginal decrease of about 0.45% when compared with 19.759 trillion in February 2024. This was contained in the Commission's monthly report for March 2024. A close look at the data reveals that investment in FGN securities continues to dominate portfolio allocation with about 12.2 trillion or 62.03% of total net asset value. Pension funds also allocated 2.058 trillion naira to corporate debt securities and 1.77 trillion naira to money market instruments. The data shows investment in ordinary shares of local companies rose by 8.72% to 2.08 trillion naira from 1.91 trillion naira in February. The International Trade Center is forging collaboration with the Nigerian Shippers Council to streamline trade processes at the ECOWAS land borders. The partnership aims to maximize the advantages of the African Continental Free Trade Area. TVC News Senior Business Correspondent Ifunanya Eze has more.
The Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Shippers Council, Mr. Pius Akuta, welcomed the team from the International Trade Center, emphasizing the Council's commitment to facilitating trade. He pledged support for their efforts to enhance trade formalization and gather crucial trade statistics.
Trade facilitation is one of the major aspects of what we do. And in the current dispensation, where Mr. President has created the Marine and Blue Economy Ministry, his focus is to look at how we can develop the non-oil sector. And this kind of study will further strengthen our ability and our capacity to do more in terms of looking at the border areas and look at the informal trade that is going on at these border areas.
An associate program officer of the International Trade Center team explained that their visit is part of a broader study to identify areas for improving trade facilitation, particularly at cross-border points.
The main objective of this particular output is to scale up the trade facilitation measures that have been implemented in the ECOWAS region and also in specific border crossing points. So in order for us to proceed in the delivery of this particular output, we conducted a desk research which was meant to highlight the existing trade facilitation measures.
The Council's Deputy Director of Trade Services highlighted their role in providing timely information to cross-border traders. She also discussed Nigeria's proactive steps to engage in the African Continental Free Trade Area.
The fact that some things needed to be done, strengthened, and some sort of restructuring to get that place working. Personnel is just one of it, capacity building, but even the facilities, so all these were identified.
Furthermore, the Nigerian Shippers Council manages the Border Information Center at the Semekraki border, ensuring smooth trade operations. Ifunanya Eze, TVC News, Lagos.
Outside Nigeria now, Asian stocks rose to the highest in over a decade or a year today on renewed bets that the Federal Reserve will mostly likely ease rates this year. The yen weakened after a strong surge last week from Tokyo's suspected currency intervention. MSCI's Broadex Index of Asia Pacific shares outside Japan peaked out their highest since February 2023 and last gained 0.53%, with China's blue chips index jumped 1.5%. Hong Kong Hang Seng index rose by 4.7% last week. On Friday, clocked its longest daily winning streak since 2018. It was last down by 0.1%. The Nasdaq-listed Golden Dragon China index jumped 5.5% last week. Euro Stoxx 50 futures gained 0.35%, while Nasdaq futures were little changed. S&P 500 futures added 0.07%. Now, Australia's Qantas Airways has agreed to pay about $120 Australian million, which is about 79
Articles all often
US
contradicting
to
each
settle
other.
a regulator lawsuit over the sale of thousands of tickets on already cancelled flights in an attempt to rent a reputational crisis that has engulfed the airline. The airline will split about 20 million Australian dollars between more than 86,000 customers who booked tickets on the ghost flight and pay about 100 million Australian dollars fine instead of defending the lawsuit that he had previously vowed to fight. Qantas and the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission said earlier today. The fine is the biggest ever for an Australian airline and among the largest globally in the aviation sector, although some Australian banks and casino operators have faced higher penalties for breaches of law. Qantas Airways CEO Vanessa Huntsin said in a statement it recognized Qantas let down customers and fell short of their own standard. If the court approves, the settlement will resolve a dispute that had featured prominently at a time when Qantas brand value tanked in consumer service amid a spike in complaint about cancellations. Meanwhile, the airline shares were flat in late trading against a 0.6% gain in the broader Australian market. In another development, China's services sector surged slightly slower due to higher costs in April, and job opportunities continued to decline, with optimism increased in new orders and positive business sentiment suggest a continued economic recovery. According to S&P Global Services, the Purchasing Managers Index dropped marginally to 52.5 from 52.7 in March, showing ongoing expansion for the 16th straight month. Despite this growth, China faces challenges, a lingering property market slump and subdued consumer demand. Head of China Economics at Capital Economics, Julian Evans, said PMI edged down last month and it dropped by less than its official counterpart, while other variables for April is still consistent with some improvement in momentum since the start of the year. Indonesia's economic growth in the first quarter beat expectations, buoyed by high public spending for the country's elections, but maintaining the strong pace will be challenging due to global development and tight local monetary conditions. Southeast Asia's largest economy grew by 5.11% year-on-year in the first quarter, the highest growth rate in the last 3 quarters. In the first 3 months of 2024, campaign expenditure for the February 14 election and higher household spending during the Muslim holy month of Ramadan, which started in March, boosted economic activity. Some economists said the election and Ramadan spending gains are on-off factors, while higher for longer U.S. interest rate, Middle East tensions, as well as the country's rate hiking cycle clouding the growth outlook. And the crude oil space futures climbed today after Saudi Arabia hiked June crude prices for most regions, and as the prospect of a Gaza ceasefire deal appeared slim, renewing fears that the Israel-Hamas conflict could still widen in the key oil-producing region. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude rose to sell at $70 87 cents per barrel, with an upward price margin of 0.97%. Brent crude futures also experienced an upward price reveal of 0.77%, selling at $83.60 per barrel. And Bonnie Light recorded a price decline of 0.48%, selling at $84.45 per barrel. And for the OPEC basket, crude oil dealers offer $84.23 per barrel, with a downward price reveal of 3.37%. Well, and that's all for business. Next is sport. Please stay with us.